This might be the most important video that I've done so far. That's a big call. In this video, I want to talk about the concept of seeking permission. As a kid growing up, I sought permission. I'm sure if you had parents, grandparents, teachers, relatives, bosses, you probably have experienced seeking permission. What's interesting but also saddening for me personally is at the time of doing this video, I'm 41 years old, and for as long as I can remember, I've been seeking permission. Now, as a kid, I kind of feel like that's normal, right? Can I go to play? Can I eat this chocolate bar? Can I drink this Coke? I was never allowed Coke as a child, so it was always a gift. Can I do X, Y, Z? Can I stay out late? That kind of stuff. And I don't know where the decision was made, but the decision was definitely made unconsciously that the seeking of permission needed to remain a fundamental component of my life when I became an adult. And that has led me to a lot of indecision, procrastination, second guessing, incongruence, saying one thing, doing another, one step forward, two steps back, and never really knowing why that's happened until recently. And so the rest of this video might be a little bit cliched and a bit obvious. I think you'll kind of know what I'm going to say, which is, if you're a person watching this video and you procrastinate and you second guess yourself and you struggle to make decisions and follow through, question whether you're making the right decision. When it comes to going for like big goals and dreams, you have an internal wrestle with what you should do or not do. If any of that relates, you've got to start giving yourself permission. And the irony being is that this video is kind of like me giving you permission, like by me saying it. And so is dichotomy the right word? I'm not sure if it is. But I'm just going to say there's a sense of irony in the way the video is being delivered, that like you can't even take what I'm saying as reason for you to give yourself permission. Like you have to see this as, this is just a message. Because if you're watching this video, something has made you watch this video. Like, I am not a Jay Shetty, Prince EA, Tony Robbins, Brendan Burchard, 4.8 gazillion YouTube subscribers person, right? So if by some miracle you are watching this video and we have never met before, or even if we have, you are meant to watch this video. Not because of me, not to massage my ego, but because of the message. Because I know that I have for a very, very, very long time been externally referenced when it comes to permission. And if that's you, if you can relate to that, you have to internally reference. You have to give yourself permission, or you'll forever be waiting, doing things you don't really want to do, living a life that's not by design, but by default, following other people's beliefs and their path because you think it's what's right for you, only to get to the end of life and maybe perhaps end up and go, I have my ladder of life leaning against the wrong wall. There's been a part of me recently that's felt like I'm learning this too late. And I have to slap myself around the face and go, I'm 40 years old, 41. It doesn't matter how old you are. Like, you can make the decision that from now on, however old you are, you make the decision that you are no longer going to seek external validation and approval. I remember, and I was watching Aaron Doherty talk about this in a video, and I'm the same. He jokes about, like, he used to wait for, like, permission from Tony Robbins. Like, Tony was one day going to say, like, put his hand on him and, like, bless him like Jesus. Like, you are enough. And then Aaron was going to be free. And it's really funny because I watched this video and laughed because a few years ago I attended a Tony seminar and I got the opportunity to speak to Tony. And I said to him, Tony, you've changed my life. And I was kind of like a mess because I was in external validation and approval. And I said, Tony, you've changed my life. And Tony said, Miles, thank you for the compliment. I didn't change your life. You did. But I'm glad my materials could help in some way. True story. True story. And what's really interesting is that was a few years ago, and I still, after that, didn't feel enough. So that's not an indicator. Like, I have been a fan of Tony Robbins since my early 20s. And for me, that, like, growing up without a father, he became a bit of an, like, kind of distant father figure for me. And so having Tony Robbins say to me, you know, you are enough in his own way, right? And me still not feel enough. And I didn't get the lesson at that moment. Instead, what I did is I fed off. I think my ego fed off that for a while. Like, oh, I'm special now because Tony's seen me. Which is just nonsense, isn't it? And then floated back into not feeling enough again when the seminar wore off. You'll never feel enough unless you validate yourself. Never. So how do you do it? There's the question. How do you then validate yourself? Well, there's a couple of things that I've found that have really helped me. And it's kind of a like 1A and 1B. 1A is straight up meditation. Because any time we're thinking that we're not enough, we are thinking. And Joe Dispenza talks about breaking the habit of being yourself. Title of a book. Very good book. Recommend it. And what he means by that is not for you to be yourself, but for you to recognize that yourself is an egoic identity that is created and manifested by beliefs and values and stories and ideations of yourself, which are just thought form. That's all they are. It's just a stream of, it's just like downloading files from the internet, storing them on your computer. And now you have those files on your computer, you own them. Like, let's say you download, I don't know, some software update. You bought that antivirus software, that's yours. And we do that all the time. Like we hear something, we believe it, we download it. And it's like, oh, that's me now. I believe that's me, right? So the key is 1A is meditation. Okay, so that's 1A. 1B, which is why I call it 1B, is inner child meditation. What do I mean by inner child meditation and why inner child meditation? Well, meditation is great. But the reason why I say inner child meditation is because if you think about your mind as a computer, to stick with that kind of frame of reference, when you buy a new computer and you take it out of the box, or a new phone and you take it out of the box, it's at factory settings, right? So there's no files on it, no viruses on it, no problems with it. It's like fresh out and you take the seal off. It's just beautiful and new, right? You know that feeling? And you get a new phone. I still love that. I haven't had a new phone for years, but I love the feeling anyway. There's no problems with it. It's brand new, right? And then what do? We go and download loads of stuff on it, and then maybe if we don't have the right software, we can get viruses and stuff. And eventually it slows down because of the things that we put on it and the files, and it gets heavy with the memory and all this kind of stuff. And that's kind of like the brain. That's kind of like us. We get heavy, we get weighed down when we think stuff, feel stuff, download stuff from the world. So inner child meditation for me is a bit like restoring to factory settings. Because I'll give you an example. I did an inner child meditation the other day where I literally was back at the flat where I lived when I was a child. And I literally like walked into the flat where I lived, sat on the bed next to me, age about 7. He was playing video games. And I sat next to him and I put my arm around him and I just hung out with him while he played video games. And I've done that meditation a few times. Sometimes I cry, sometimes I don't. But it's powerful. And every time I do it, it just reminds me that all my inner child wants is internal, is validation from me. So it's like when I heal me, which is the inner child part of me, it brings the timeline up to me, age 41. It's like if you've seen the movie Back to the Future and they go into the future and they meddle with some stuff. And then the doc says, we need to go right back to 1955 to fix what we did in 1955. And they go back and fix that and sort out the mess they made in the future. And now all of a sudden, everything is back the way it was in like the 1980s, right? God, I love that film. Especially the second one with the hoverboard. Great Scots! So, where was I? I lost my trail of thought in Back to the Future. That's what inner child meditation will do. That's what inner child meditation can do. It can't be a one-off thing. You've got to do it over and over and over again. And there's no particular one I recommend, but there's lots of them on YouTube. But yeah, like that. To go through life consistently second guessing is not a nice experience. I've had it. It hasn't fully gone away yet. But I'm aware of it. So, do the work, do the meditations, and just see how it feels. Just play with it. But this video alone, just the intellectualizing of it, is not enough. Like you've got to do the work for the integration to happen. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed today's video. I've really enjoyed this one. It's a powerful message. It really is probably one of my favorite things to talk about at the moment. So that's it from me. Peace out. See you next time. Take care.